Pretends to be distinctive humans up to now. Girls usually younger than him later. That day at the U.S. club his buddy Fabio tells every person how Johnny used 3 fake identities multifunctional week. Simply to fulfill girls, to tease him lower back. Johnny says maybe his spouse desires to date him too. Later, he grabs lunch together with his buddy Dario, who's also his medical doctor. Dario asks if all the chasing after girls with faux identities is tiring. He shows his pal to settle down with one mature lady, reminding him he's nearly 50 just. Then a name interrupts their chat. Gianni mentions it's about his mom. Dario is extremely joyful, hoping they have reconciled. But his buddy bluntly reveals that his mother has passed away after the lunch is over. Johnny rushes to the graveyard, however receives lost in a Filipino procession, mistaking it for his mother's. He throws out a short faux apology to the own family earlier than locating the right spot at the funeral. His twin brother offers a heartfelt goodbye, but Gianni skips his personal speech while explaining his past due arrival for the rite. He makes use of sweeping gestures to consult Filipino individuals who usually work as maids. This famous that he's also a chunk of a racist. After the funeral involves and cease, Johnny's brother gives him the keys to their mom's house. Inside circle of relatives' pictures make him barely emotional as he sits in her wheelchair. Soon sufficient, he switches on her vintage radio and starts grooving to a tune when a younger splendor named Alizia sneaks in, startling him. Alizia, the new neighbor, explains she used to help handicapped oldsters at a nursing domestic. Seeing him in the wheelchair, she offers to volunteer if he wishes something. Johnny, who's a ferocious participant, without delay begins faking being disabled. The next day at work, we see his ruthless businessman's facet as he tears into his team for the duration of a meeting. He reminds them that his sneaker enterprise high-speed sells a lifestyle now, not just footwear. The brand new in turn. Julia proposes diversifying advertising with Paralympic athletes to connect to disabled customers. In reaction, Johnny name callings and says his clients are Instagram influencers now, not disabled individuals who slightly use one pair of footwear their entire lifestyles. Looking to set an instance, he then fires Julia on the spot with the assembly finished. Johnny receives a bag of antique garments from his assistant Luciana and rushes again to his past. Do mom's domestic using his fake handicap. He guilt journeys Alizia into accepting a suggestion for espresso in his kitchen, even as speaking to her over espresso. Johnny learns she's greater into single Lou a laugh life than severe relationships. Slowly, he begins to recognize she's into outgoing, wholesome and wealthy men, and his whole center-class handicapped act appears to backfire simply as Alizia leaves. After espresso, Johnny sees his threat slipping away. He calls out and reveals himself, because the proprietor of High Speed, with 148 stores across Europe and a massive villa, slightly greatly surprised Alizia. Instantly adjustments her music and invitations him to her United States of America house for lunch next Sunday. On Sunday he arrives on the cope with, however, makes a decision to park far away. Seeing the clouds collect, he places on a raincoat and wheels himself to the house. With fantastic difficulty inner he meets Alizia's circle of relatives, her grandmother, who's on oxygen, guide her brother, and parents. Then Alizia's sister Chiara arrives in a vehicle. He's excited by using her beauty, however then sees she uses a wheelchair too. Eventually he understands why Alizia invited him to set him up along with her disabled sister, and now not herself. After lunch he and Sharera chat out of doors. She tells him that she loves playing sports activities and is an expert violin player. Bored stiff, however, trying to be civil, he truly nods without adding whatever from his facet. Whilst Gianni gets returned to Rome, he tells his buddies approximately Chiara, his medical doctor pal Dario asks approximately her personality at the same time as others ask if she's hot. He admits she's stunning, but he is no longer into disabled ladies. As the communication goes on, his friend Feo challenges him to sleep together with her, and Gianni accepts it with a smug grin. In the meantime, Alizia visits his mother's domestic, looking to go back his raincoat, however, as a substitute, meets his brother, who does not recognize approximately John's lie she tells him about his brother's charity work in Botswana and sympathizes with his incapacity. Johnny's brother is surprised, but keeps to play along. Listening to all this, he later confronts his brother approximately the lie, asking him now not to stoop so low, but Johnny clearly deflects the topic with the aid of making fun of his baldness. Tomorrow, earlier than leaving for paintings, he leaves a voicemail for Chiara, asking her out on a Saturday. However, to his marvel, Chiara can pay him a visit that very morning in his office. Understanding he would not have a wheelchair in his workplace, he awkwardly sits on his desk. Chiara informs him that she cannot make it on Saturday, however, extends an invitation to watch her tennis match for disabled humans later that day. Attempting to electrify her, he makes up a faux tale about his organization's support for disabled athletes. Later that afternoon, Johnny, in his wheelchair, watches Chiara play a hard-fought tennis match and is without a doubt inspired. After the match, she invitations him to lunch along with her disabled pals. However, the lunch does not go as he had hoped. Constantly bombarded with the aid of questions about his incapacity from her friends, he feels beaten and even has a nightmare that night. In the subsequent scene, Johnny flies to Turin, in which Chiara is performing along with her orchestra. He buys an electric wheelchair from a local guy and grabs the balcony seat inside the theater. For the first time in his lifestyles, he is in reality moved with the aid of classical tune. After the concert, he surprises Chiara, who asks why he is in Turin. He lies, approximately being close by for work and losing in on accident. Both of them then make their way to an upscale restaurant for dinner. For the duration of the dinner, Gianni tries to confess that he lied to her about his disability. However, on the ultimate second, he deviates by saying that he lied approximately him being nearby. He admits that he came right here just to pursue her. However, his clumsiness with the electrical wheelchair is plain for all people to peer, as he keeps on bumping in opposition to table. At some stage in the communique after dinner, Chiara takes him to her hotel where they kiss. However, she stops things from going further, which disappoints our man. After coming back from Turin, Johnny asks Dario if paraplegics get erections, already awaiting where the verbal exchange is heading. Dario explains that they do, but for Chiara, delight relies upon on where her spinal harm is. He then indicates Gianni to forget the mattress, reminding him that he's a 9-year-old and now not a teenager, but his friend playfully brushes it off. In the following scene, Johnny invites Cha to dinner day after today, before using to select up the lady he met at the morning run. Alternatively, Chiara has a hearty communication along with her sister, as the two siblings percentage a cigarette. She famous how glad she is that Gianni sees her as a whole girl in place of simply pitying her. The next day, Chiara visits Johnny's huge residence. She navigates round the furnishings without difficulty, at the same time as Gianni continuously bumps into matters in his wheelchair. At dinner, she asks how he were given his FT paralyzed. Johnny makes up a fake tale saying that he had a comparable twist of fate to Christopher Reeves, the Superman actor. However, Chiara says that Christopher Reeves become paralyzed from the neck under trying to keep face. Gianni says he fell off from a pony. Lots to the enjoyment of Chiara. Carefully she then stalks her own tail of the horrible vehicle. Twist of fate, her passenger, most effective, broke his collarbone and her violin on the next seat did not even get scratched, but in a merciless twist of destiny, she lost the use of each of her legs. Looking to uplift the gloomy mood, Gianni unveils his tremendous marvel. He offers her a rubber noodle and asks her to place it around her chest. Then he clicks a button and water floods inside the dining room, rising up to their chests, buoyed through the rubber noodle. They flow weightless inside the water. In a moment of passion, both of them kiss and make love, but later, whilst the water dries out, Chiara informs Gianni that she has no feeling below her legs, visibly emotional. However, at a loss for words, Gianni tells her that he too felt it simplest in his forehead. When she falls asleep, he fast takes a selfie of the two of them to gloat to his buddies. Day after today, Gianni suggests his buddies the image, winning his wager with Fabio. However, he hides the reality that Chiara can't feel something. Later that nighttime, we see Fabio's wife in John's residence. She's in her nighttime dress and accidentally breaks a wine glass. Jokingly, she says she's being clumsy, like a handicapped man or woman, which offends Gianni. Without revealing the motive, he tells her to dress and go away. Days skip without Gianni and Chiara communicating with every other, however slowly we begin seeing changes in his outlook. Closer to life, he asks Luciana to remember the intern who recommended expanding the advertising of the shoe business enterprise to paraplegic athletes. The following day, on his morning run, he calls Chiara and asks to installation a meeting, saying he has an important confession. Following this, he is going to her house. Chiara takes him to her room and asks him to wait at the same time as she finishes her violin practice. For the first time, considering the fact that they met, he see